Y'all, I read 13 books this month. What? I've never read more than 3, but I read 13. Okay, so part of that's because a DNF one, I only read half of it. Another one was a graphic novel. Some of them were audiobooks, but still, I read 13 books this month. So, let's talk about that. The first one, I've got them, they're not in order of how I read them, I just took a bunch of notes. So the first one is Sharp Objects. It's a mystery thriller. I gave it 4 stars. I would have given it 5, but it had some stuff that kind of trigger warning. It had a lot of trigger warnings. It had a couple of scenes where it talked about what happens, like details of what happens to animals when they're in a slaughterhouse, how they're treated, stuff like that. And it, with me, I don't like stuff where animals get hurt. The main character used to be a cutter, so there's a lot of self-harm trigger warnings. Those things, I just don't like reading them out, but the storyline was good, it was written good, it was a good book, so it wasn't too bad. It was only a little bit over 300 pages. That one I read as an ebook, because right now the libraries are closed, but I use Libby to check out books from the library, which is another way I've been reading more. Instead of having to wait until I go to town and go to the library, I can just get on Libby and read them. Some more that I read, ebooks from the library, I read Carry On and Wayward Son. That's the first 2 in the Simon Snow series. Carry On is book 1 and Wayward Son is book 2. I haven't read book 3 yet, but they are by Rainbow Rowell. I never read anything by him before, but I absolutely love these. Both of them got 5 stars, so those were really good. The first one was a little bit over 500 pages. Wayward Son was like 350 pages. They are fantasy, youth, LGBT, and to me, it's like if a lot of people compare it to Harry Potter, but the only way I see it being like Harry Potter is the magic world and stuff. But if you want to compare it to that, to me it would be like if Ron was the chosen one but not the chosen one, because Simon Snow is not your everyday superhero. Basically, he's the awkward version, I guess. So it would be like if Ron was the chosen one, and the LGBT part was because it was like from enemies to friends. I mean, from enemies to lovers. Anyway, his roommate slash nemesis turned into boyfriend would have been like if Ron started dating Draco, in a way. So it was interesting. So it was a good book. And another one I read by Rainbow Rowell was the graphic novel that I read was Pumpkinheads. I started to wait until fall to read it, but I was kind of excited. I got into this Rainbow Rowell mood, so I just went ahead and read it. But it's these 2 teenagers who work at this pumpkin patch, and it's their last fall together before they go to college. So it was really cute, little fun adventure in the pumpkin patch. It was just cute. And it was a YA contemporary romance. And I gave it 4 stars. I don't know why I didn't give it 5 stars. Oh, yeah, I remember. But I can't tell you because it's a spoiler. One of the audiobooks I read was by Janet Ivanovich, the Stephanie Plum series. The first one is One for the Money. And right now I'm actually reading 2 for the Dough. I think there's like 20 something of them. But I read several of them before, so these are like rereads, but I'm doing it in audiobook this time while I'm up cooking and cleaning and stuff. and it's a mystery humor chick lit. It's where this woman, she's basically a Jersey girl, I guess you could say. She's before she was a lingerie saleswoman or something like that, and she loses her job, but she doesn't want to have to move back in with her parents, so she starts working for her cousin Vinny as a bail bondsman. So it's just really, really funny. That one, I think I already said I listened to on audiobook, but the regular book is like 320 pages. Of course, I gave it 5 stars because it's one of my rereads. I'm working on getting all the books in my collection, but I haven't got very many yet. Okay, so the one that I DNF'd was, okay, let me explain. One of my favorite movies is War of the Worlds with Dakota Fanning and Tom Cruise. It's one of those movies that I could just put on in the background while I'm reading or doing cleaning or whatever. So I watch it over and over. But The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells is a classic. I don't do well with classics. But I tried to read it because it's one of my favorite movies. The book is nothing like that movie. Like, the book is from that time. I can't remember when it's written, but it's from that time, and the movie's more modern. So it's nothing alike. It's one of those occasions where you're gonna either like the movie or the book. It's a classic sci-fi. I gave it 2 stars, and I kind of feel bad about it because I feel like it was good for that time, but now things have changed so much. We talk different, we act different, we dress different, so it's just hard to get into certain things, I guess. Or maybe I just wasn't in the mood to read it, who knows. But it's pretty short, it's only 258 pages. I was reading it by ebook. Now, I only had 2 physical books. Most of them I checked out from the library or did audiobook. One of them was this one. Let me figure this out. This one, it's been like 5 months since I did a video. I gotta get back into it. Anyway, I've always liked the Chicken Soup for the Soul. They're just cute little stories, funny. This one, I have cats. I'm a cat person, and I know the antics that they can get up to. So this one is just like short stories of things cats get into, but it's really good. I didn't read it all at once. I would, like, when I'd go to bed at night, I like to read, so I would put down whatever I was reading and read just a few a night so that I wouldn't get tired of it. But it's really cute. It's got pictures throughout here and there of some of the cats that the stories are about, and then you've got like comics here and there, but it's really short stories. Like this one, see, this one's only 2 pages, so it's just a simple read, something that's just fun. My notes, that one I gave 4 stars. The only reason I didn't give it 5 was because I probably won't ever read it again. I'll just go get one of the other chicken soups and read those. It is nonfiction, animals, humor is what it says on Goodreads. It's 400 pages. It's by Amy Newmark. If you see me looking down, I have notes because there's no way I can remember all this. The other one, now, do not judge me for the way this book cover looks. This is the first edition. It's very old. We were lucky to get this secondhand, but this one stays on the shelf. Yeah. Okay. So it's messed up. But anyway, all the pages are there. I really don't care. But see, it's got stains and smudges and starting to yellow and all that. Yeah, anyway, Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I've read very few Stephen King books, but I've always wanted to. Now, Pet Sematary is a great movie. The book was better. Let me explain why. Because the book, most of the time the books are better because they have more details, more scenes. There's stuff in the book that was not in either one of the movies, the original version or the remake. Now, I will say this. Well, it's been so long since I've seen the original that I don't want to say I like the newer version of, as far as the movies, better, because I feel like that would be biased because I haven't seen the original version, which is what the movie was based off of. The original movie was based off of this book. The new movie, how do I say it without spoiling it? The new movie had this plot twist that kind of changed parts of the story, but the plot twist was so good and so unexpected that it's worth it, I guess. I don't know, I gave it 5 stars, obviously, and I've got a couple of more of his books back there on the shelf that I want to read, but we collect Stephen King books, so it's not going anywhere, so I can read them just whenever I want. But it was so good. But the reason I've never read more Stephen King books is because they kind of intimidate me. I'm worried that I'm gonna have nightmares. But with this one, I didn't have nightmares. It wasn't okay. It was scary, but it was more weird, and that's what I like about Stephen King books. It's horror thriller. It's about 374 pages. I gave it 5 stars. So it's well worth the read because there's not only scenes in the book that weren't in the movie, there's characters in the book that weren't in the movies. So, and I don't know why, because I feel like they were detrimental to the storyline. Okay, and then some audiobooks that I listened to. Cirque du Freak by Darren Shan, and these are fantasy, youth, middle grade, horror, paranormal. It had all of that on it as genres on Goodreads, and I can see why. They're really short, simple books. Like the first one is called A Living Nightmare. The second one, The Vampire's Assistant. The third one is Tunnels of Blood. The first one's only like 272 pages, second one's 256, so they're short books. And they're just really cute. It's about this, I don't remember how old he is. He's pretty young. He's like 12, 13, something like that, maybe 15, I don't know, but anyway, he's a teenager. And I'm trying to figure out how to say it without giving it away, but things happened so that he winds up with this Cirque du Freak, which is a circus of freaks, is what it was called back then. He winds up as this vampire's assistant. He's not a vampire, but he's like half vampire. They're not allowed to make vampires out of children, basically, and he's still considered a child. So he had to like leave everything behind and go with this vampire as his assistant, and it's just like their adventures with this circus and just shenanigans that they get into. There were a few scenes in each book where I just rolled laughing. It's so good, and I've never read them because I didn't think it was anything that I would like, and my husband kind of suggested it to me, so I put it on audiobook, and it just captures you. It's so good, and I would recommend it to everybody. Of course, I gave all 3 books 5 stars, and I'm gonna keep reading them. I'm gonna read or listen to the rest of them. Okay, now the next one is called Get a Life, Chloe Brown, by Talia Hibbert. I gave it 5 stars. I read it by ebook. It's 384 pages long, so it's not that bad. It's a romance adult contemporary, And normally I don't like romance, but I do like rom-coms, which is, to me, this is what this was. It was a enemies to lovers book. She has, I think it was I read it at the first of the month, so it's hard to remember, but she has fibromyalgia, I think. And the guy is, the apartment building that she's living in, he's, my brain is just like, it's still early. He goes around and fixes stuff in the apartment buildings. And so that's how she knows him. She almost dies at the first of the book, so it makes her think, and she makes this bucket list. And a lot of the stuff on it she needs his help to do. So that's kind of how they, like, you know, interact. And she doesn't really like the guy, but over spending time together, obviously they fall for each other. So the last book I read, no, audiobook, is The Alchemist, The Secrets of the Immortal Nicholas Flamel. That's hard to say for some reason. Anyway, number 1. Nicholas Flamel was a character in the Harry Potter world that was talked about here and there. And this is his adventures when he was younger. I read it by audiobook. The normal book is like 390 pages. I gave it 4 stars. It was really good, but it's not as good as the Harry Potter adventures, but I feel like I'm biased on that because Harry Potter is one of my favorite series. It's one of those that I reread and rewatch. So I feel like none of them are gonna be as good as him, but it was a good story. It had adventure, it had magic, it had pretty much everything that the Harry Potter world usually offers. It's a youth fantasy middle grade magic adventure is what I got from Goodreads. It's by Michael Scott. I don't know if I said that, but it's just a cute little book. That's all I can say about it. That was the last one. What I'm reading now is Scythe. I should have wrote down who it was by. Hold on. Neal Shusterman. I don't know why I forgot that, but anyway, I'm reading Scythe by Neal Shusterman, ebook from Libby, and I'm listening to Two for the Dough by Janet Ivanovich, like when I'm using audiobooks. So those are the 2 I'm reading now. I don't think I'm going to be through with either one of them by the end of the month. So, but that's all I have for now. That's everything I read in May. And I still can't believe I read that many books. But I think the only reason I did was because I just kind of took a break from spring cleaning and all that kind of stuff and just kind of concentrated on me for a while. So, yeah. But anyway, that's all I have, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.